Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to ZABFM Digital. You are watching program HR Pavilion Season 2 brought to you by Dr. Kamran Somro. This is me, your host Shaza Khan from MBA Evening Section F. Today the topic of our podcast is HRM Unplugged, Ethical Dilemmas in the Workplace, in which we'll be discussing the challenges faced by HR professionals while maintaining a balance between organizational goals and employee well-being. To enhance our knowledge, we have our honorable guest, Mr. Muhammad Saleem, having 18 years of experience in retail, customer service, and human resource management. He started his career from TCS Private Limited, followed by Artistic Milliners Private Limited, and currently he is working with Interwood Private Limited as lead HRBP South. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Thanks for honoring us and joining us on this platform. How are you?
Walaikum Assalam. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Thank you very much for having me over here and giving me opportunity to share some thoughts with you people.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you have 18 years of experience, and this is a lot of experience. Kindly give us a brief overview of your journey. How was your journey? How it has been?
When I look back to my career, it was like November 2005 when I joined my first organization, TCS Private Limited, as a retail sales officer. So it was 5 months I worked for the retail, and then I got the opportunity and moved to the customer service department. So there I became the part of the pioneer team who established the call center back in 2006. I worked there for 4.5 years, and that was one of the best experience I can recall. Why? Because that gives me a lot of exposure when it comes to the talking with the customers, resolving their complaints, their concerns. So that was the good experience. But fortunately, that was the time when I explored my competencies, which were more productive for me. And fortunately, I got some of the people who were very, experienced, and somehow they mentored me, and they told. They shared their feedback with me that helped me to explore myself, and that was the time when I just moved to the human resource function, and since then I have been into the HR, so it's been like 13 years working with HR.
In which departments you have worked in, like in which domain you have worked in human resource, like training, development, recruitment, what is the exposure of that?
When we talk about the human resource management, right? So even some people call it human capital management, but what I believe is it's human. So I just focus on the human. Rest is the part that is dealt by the other people, but I always work for the people. So yes, my most of the experience remains with the organization development and training and development. Because being the HR professional, I more focus on the people development. Because this is the field where you can add the contribution, you can add the value into someone's life. So I feel always pleasure, I feel proud when I help someone to grow in his or her career. So that is, I think, the best part of my journey with the HR.
Okay. So how do you think HR ensure the diversity, equity and inclusion in hiring and recruitment of people? Shiza, this is a very wide, topic when we talk about the DEI. But yes, organizations are cultivating themselves, and they are trying to, inculcate and work on the DEI side. So, in my opinion, it is very important for every organization. First, you need to have the clear objective.
right? Because we are very amazed with the term DEI, and normally the organization, what I believe, are just putting these terms and using these terms for the telling people that what they actually are. But in real sense, it is more difficult for the organization in our cultures, right? So it is important for every organization. First, you need to have the clear objectives. What you want to get by the inclusion of DEI, number one. Number two, it is very important to avoid any biasness, because how can you get the maximum out of it is the ensuring your recruitment process is very unbiased, your interview process is structured, and even one of the technique that is called the blind recruitment technique that should be utilized, or that can be utilized in terms of DEI. Why? Because these techniques help you to eliminate the biasness.
Okay.
Moreover, you need to have the structured interview process. You need to train your interviewers first, so that there shouldn't be any sort of biasness. There should be standardized pattern for the assessment, and then it is very important that whatever the policies you have made, you need to evaluate those policies. You need
correct.
to get the continuous feedback. You need to assess either you are on the right track or not. Okay? And even you need to identify the areas where you can, do the inclusion. You can improvise. You can add as per your DI objectives. So that is very important.
Okay. Have you faced conflict, like any time in your career, between implementing ethical standards and company policy?
See, it's the walk of life. It's the daily life practice. You get the conflict, and see, when it comes to the conflict, what normally people believe is the conflict. They take it as a negative thing, right? But in my opinion, conflict is not negative. That is the conflict is always neutral. Basically, it depends on you how you take conflict as a. For example, if you take it as a positive, so you take it as an opportunity, you can add value, you can do something valuable out of that conflict. But if you take it as a negative, so you always stuck, and you will feel more stressed at how to deal with. I'll give you a very simple example.
Sure.
Have you seen the ECG report?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So when you see the ECG report, so there is always the a graph coming up and down. So that is the sign of what? Life. And when you see a straight line on the ECG report, so what that reflects?
No life. Yeah.
So we actually we believe that our life should be straight. No, that is not life. That is the end of the life.
End of the life. Yeah.
So conflict is that is bar. So if you are not getting any conflict, so it means there is something wrong. So I always believe conflicts are very positive, and those are the opportunities for you to manage. Similarly, when it comes to the HR, because the human are the subject as an HR professional. So you always get the conflicts between organization, employees, right? Employee to employee conflicts you get. Sometimes you get the conflict with the existing policies. So it is always depends on you how you take that opportunity and how you make someone understand, and how you bring something positive out of the conflict.
Okay. While implementing the company policies, again, how do you ensure that HRM decisions are aligned with the values and mission of the organization?
That is, I believe, very important questions, because normally people talk about the vision, mission, and values.
Yeah.
But what those values are, and what are the purpose of those values. See, vision is basically provide you the ultimate goal, what you want to achieve, but values are the guiding principles. For example, if I give you a very common example, your vision is to travel back to your home from the ZABIST, right?
Okay, right.
So the home is your basically objective you want to achieve. If you drive from over here, so what action you will take basically? You will
the right direction.
Right direction.
Yeah.
All right. And you are following the right direction. So do you think you can reach to your target destination? Or you can achieve your goal? You can reach to your point what you have vision for?
Yeah, if I have a correct direction, right direction, I can. Yeah.
Yeah. See, you might have the correct direction, but if you are not following the guiding principles, for example, you have to take the you are just going on the main road and there will be signage. You will be seeing that if you want to go from your to your home, so you have to follow the traffic rules and regulations as well. So those are basically the guiding principles, right?
Okay.
If you do not stop on the red signal, what will happen?
Chalan. Fine.
Yeah, if you could save yourself and you could survive from hitting someone else, so that is the another part. Otherwise, that can take you somewhere other rather than taking you home, right?
Correct.
So values have this similar importance in organization. Those are the guiding principles. Those guides you if you want to achieve your vision. So you have to follow these values. Right?
Correct.
So values are very important. Similarly, you have to prepare your policies. You have to make your policies according to your values. So values are something you need to inculcate, and you need to train people on the values. You need to do the better communications, because one of the major failure in of any organization, of any strategy or any value is the lack of the communication. So you have to hammer through the awareness sessions, through the training sessions to the employees, so that they can understand the importance of the values. And they can practice those values, because values are not something to have something nice looking or something for hanging purpose. So values are something to practice actually.
Correct.
So I believe values are very important. Those are the guiding principle to develop policies and deal people with.
Okay. So what do you think, in what ways HR face challenges while maintaining the employees' privacy of the data they collect for HR purposes?
I believe that is the very burning need of the privacy at this point in time.
Yeah.
Because at the digital age, privacy, we have almost lost our privacy, right?
Exactly.
So same thing comes with the organization. It is very important to maintain, to secure their employee privacy, the employees' data. First of all, you need to identify what mandatory information you require for your organization. So you should try to protect those information, get those information. Then you need to make a clear policy, so that you can share with the employees that what are the guiding principle, what are the policies or SOPs you need to follow while maintaining that data. You should also need to assess your data privacy parameters.
Correct.
Are those secure enough that can help you to secure your employee data or your organization's data? And even the best way is to get third party certification to ensure that your data is secure, your employees' data is secure, and even relevant employees have the access to the required information.
Exactly.
That is not accessible for anyone, and that is very important for, I think, every organization to secure the data.
Okay. Sir, at the time of appraisal, we I also work in our organization, and I've also faced that there is some biasness in performance appraisal and assessment, performance evaluation. So, how, being an HR profession, how do you ensure that the performance assessment and appraisal is done on the basis of transparency and fairness, and no biasness is involved in it?
Shiza, to be very honest, in my 13 years of HR career, I think this is one of the most difficult tasks I have observed or I have experienced. It is very difficult to avoid the biasness. First of all, actually, it is very mandatory for the organization to make the clear objectives. Actually, what happens to the performance appraisals?
Yeah.
In most of the organization, or in majority of the organization in Pakistan, you won't find any proper performance management system. So in absence of performance management system, you cannot avoid the biasness. So that is going all around. But organization which actually implement the performance management systems, even it takes a few years to get it mature, right? Because in first year, if you implement the performance management system, so you cannot get the 100% accuracy. Minimum, it takes 3 years to get it mature and get the unbiased data. The thing is that it is very important for any organizations when you are launching your performance management systems or when employees are creating their objectives. Those objectives should be clearly defined, and that should be clearly communicated to the employees. What I have experienced is that people normally make their objectives, right? But those are not quantifiable. Those are not measurable. So that is why it is mandatory to make your SMART objectives so that you can measure them, right? You can quantify those objectives. And one more thing which commonly I observe, that is the huge gap between the implementer and the employees. That is the understanding of the rating system.
Yeah.
Because normally employees or people believe that what they have to achieve, if they have achieved whatever they were committed, so they have done the marvelous job, and they should be given the excellent, right, rating. That is not excellent, actually.
Okay.
In real sense, that is the required job, that minimum required job. So if you have achieved that, so it means you have achieved the desired result. So means you have nothing done outstanding. So that is something you need to clarify at the time of creating objectives, and then you can evaluate those objectives. So if you cannot prepare your SMART objective, then it will be difficult to get the accurate performance rating system. So if there is not accuracy in your performance management system, then you cannot avoid the biasness. That always goes in the hands of the people, either the line managers, HODs, and there is the liking, disliking happens.
Have you faced yourself in a situation where you are observing that the rating is not given on basis of the KPIs, but you are forced to implement this, you are forced to agree on that? Have you ever been in that position?
See, there are actually, there are situations when you face such sort of situation. Even there are some parameters, like if your line manager might have given you the ultimate rating, but you will face another criteria, like in most of organization in Pakistan, normally they use the Hayes model, and that is a biggest model, I can say. Thing is that it is very important that you should have the calibration sessions, you have a calibration meeting, you have a committee who can calibrate with the rating systems when there is discrepancy between employee and line manager or
Exactly,
HOD.
yeah.
So that is the reason if the calibration sessions are not done, so definitely there will be a backslash from the exercise.
How do you manage conflict while dealing with the employees' issues? Like we are discussing about ethics. Like employees have issues, and you have your company policies. You have to maintain the ethical standards as well. And there is the third thing, which is employees' issues. How do you think HR plays a role in that by bringing it out together and driving an answer or a solution of it and satisfy the employee as well?
Okay, so this is the primary role of HR, because whatever the strategy is made by the management, HR the one who basically translate that strategy into action and communicate those to the employees, right? So sometimes, yes, it is very essential for HR to create a balance between the organization and the employees.
Exactly, yeah.
Managing the values, ethical values as well. So being HR, how can you manage ethically is the the communication. How clear communication you have. If your communication is clear, if you do not have any hidden things that are not shared with the employees, or just you are sharing with the employees, but actually behind those policies there are some other conditions which normally are not being shared with the employee. So that is, I think, unethical practice. But being an HR individual or professional, you need to give the complete picture to the employee. So that is, I believe, the best way to deal with
the situation
or to bridge the gap between employee and organization.
Okay. In our organizations, we have old school of thoughts people as well, and the young generation as well, Generation Z, which is evaluating and coming in the organizations. They are basically looking for a flexible environment, okay? And the old generation, they are like the rigid environment and everything. So what role do HR plays while mitigating that gap?
The old school of thought, they believe on they more believe on in terms of the discipline,
exactly,
in punctuality, in terms of punctuality and discipline is not bad thing, right? But there should be flexibility, right? But their opinion that they believe that just the performance can be given in front of you while they are sitting on their seats and be more productive, but in actual scenario that's not happening.
So you support the flexibility part?
Of course, I am firm believer of the new school of thought. I believe that your performance, your productivity will be high when you feel relaxed.
Exactly.
Right? So if you are not relaxed, so definitely your productivity won't be high. Right? So it is very important for any organization to understand the dynamics, right? And even not just the Generation Z, because adaptability is one of the key competencies when it comes to the professionalism. So adaptability for the organization is equally important. So organization also need to adapt themselves according to the current market dynamics, right?
Correct.
So that is why even there are organizations around us who are cultivating themselves very speedily just to match the current scenario and to capture those high potential candidates who are more productive while working in flexible environment or where they get the flexibility. But there are organizations, they just following the legacy or old school of thought. So I believe even there would time comes,
And
they have
they'll
to
also
get
understand
changed.
that
Yeah.
thing. Okay. Especially after COVID.
Especially after COVID.
After
That
COVID,
has,
yeah.
that has add, additional emphasis to, actually that give you another perspective, na? Despite of having your office, right?
Yeah.
Even you can perform your duty from
From
somewhere.
home, yeah. In the ethical part, these things, the flexibility part, the mental peace part is also included, right?
When you think about the work from home or the flexibility in your working environment, so definitely it is also mandatory to identify that what sort of industry or what sort of work you are performing, because there are some works which require to be there, right? If someone is working on the machine, cannot work at home, or
Exactly.
cannot work on-
The technical
Exactly.
stuff.
So even you have to identify where you can be flexible and where you cannot be.
Yeah, right.
So that's why you have to make the plan according to your requirement and then inculcate people according to your requirement.
How HR people deal with the situations when an employee is being laid off and a restructuring is done, to what role HR plays and how they make a balance between ethical standards, because we are focusing on ethical balance here. Yeah.
To be very honest, this is one of the most difficult tasks I ever faced, and I personally believe, as I mentioned earlier, that being the HR professional, I'm the person who just focus on the first part, that is the
Human. Yeah, right.
and the rest I never thought about that. So this is the most difficult task when you have to ask someone to leave the organization due to any challenge. But even you have to be realistic.
Yeah.
There's situation comes where you have to do the perform layoff for the organization. That could be like productivity issue, there could be financial issue, there could be other dynamics, right?
Yeah.
But what you need to do is, as in HR profession, because what I have experienced, what I have observed, normally this activity is taken very wrongly.
Okay.
Normally people use this activity to eliminate people who they do not like.
Yes, exactly. This is very common nowadays. Yeah.
So that is basically ultimately the worst outcome of the activity. But if you are doing it on productive way, so being an HR individual, what you need to do is you need to ensure that this activity is performed on the actual grounds, with the reasons, with the actualizations of the resource. If you are laying off resource, so on what grounds you are laying off, okay, what are the parameters, and are those parameters justified or not? So that is very important to ensure, and that is the actually job of the HR, to ensure that the right action is taken. And the most of the difficult thing is that being an HR, you have to manage the post layoff environment as well, right?
Bilkul.
So there comes the communication, the role of communication. If your communication is clear, then this activity can be performed in a better way. And even you have to give the trust to the employees who are left, right? That now how they will be having trust in the organization while
Because
staying
there must be a trust issue. They can be laid off anytime.
Exactly. So you need to build that trust again for those employees as well.
Yeah, correct.
And being an HR, even it's ethically better for you people that you can, help those people who are part of the layoff activity. You can help them, you can refer them somewhere else, you can
Yeah.
help them for the placement in other areas, right? Being human, you HR professional, I believe there comes to help those people to get opportunities, to get the jobs in other organizations.
But what if HR professions are fully aware that the person being laid off is not at fault? But the same thing which you mentioned earlier, there is some biasness behind that. So in that case, how HR manages that? You know that person is not at fault, but behind that there is a biasness there. Then, and you are forced to do that as well. Then.
All right. That shows how the HR is independent. If you have the independent HR, if you have the empowered HR, so HR can then ensure that. But if that is not empowered, okay, so definitely then HR normally don't take any stand. So they have to follow. And even in sometimes that the action is not good, but you have to be, you have to follow those instruction. You have been given by the management. So there are some compulsions where you are not you cannot perform them, and despite of having the right information, but you cannot take actions.
Like in your career, have you ever faced an external conflict where you have to intervene? Being an HR profession, you have to intervene in that situation and handle the situation as a part of your organization. External conflict can be like from customers, from vendors, anything.
Yes, it happens. Sometimes it happens if there are conflicts with your vendors or with the customers. So as an HR individual, normally it is not your responsibility, because normally that is dealt by the either customer service department, or that is dealt by the supply chain or the procurement department, or the department which is who is managing the vendors. But as an HR individual, sometimes you have to give your expertise to bridge the gap between the vendor, customers, and the employees or the other department. So because if you have expertise, so you should facilitate your colleagues or the employees, so that conflict can be managed. And even that sometimes it's the matter of the organization's reputation, so you have to manage your organization's reputation. So that's why you just involve to settle that conflict in a way that don't affect your organization, you or your employees.
Okay, and just for a practical example and from your practical experience, have you ever faced a conflict between management and employee, and how you resolve it? Just an example.
Okay. See,
keeping the ethical standards there, and you cannot disagree to any one of them, then.
See, it happens, yes, so many times, right? Because employer has its own perspective, similarly employee has own perspective. So you need to assess what is the best way to deal with both, right? And sometimes you have to balance both of them. Though it is difficult job for you, but you need to assess on what scale you can assist either employee or the employer. Again, that depends on situation.
Okay. Lastly, how important ethical part is for HR professions?
I think without ethics, there isn't any HR. It is very mandatory part of the HR profession. You have to be ethical all the time and every time, because if you do not believe on ethical practices, if you are not practitioner of the ethics, so I think HR is not the profession for you or for anyone who doesn't believe on the ethics. So it is the, I think, one of the basic ingredient for the HR professional to be ethical all the time.
We are having a tremendous conversation here, but due to short of time, we have to wind up our session. So in the end, I would request you to give a message for our viewers, for our students about HRM and ethics, how they can manage both, what they should be doing, anything.
As I believe, being the HR professional or anyone who wants to pursue his profession or her profession in field of HRM, you should always focus on the human. See, management comes later part. Okay, HRM starts with the human, so everyone should focus on the human first, and then focus rest of the part. So if you prioritize human first, definitely you will be ethical. You will always follow the standard practices. You will always have the clear communication. You will always have the clear objectives. You will always be there to help your people, to add value for the people. So that is the, I believe, the message for every individual who wants to pursue for the human resource field.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Saleem. Thanks for giving us your valuable time. It's great having a conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Shiza, and I really appreciate, and once again, thanks. You have given me opportunity to speak up in front of you people and share my thoughts. So I really appreciate, and I wish you all best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Allah Hafiz, sir.